What were the top 10 best counties for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in the 2024 election? That's what we're going to find out today. He only got about 0.5% in the national popular vote, and he was only on the ballot in about 30 states. But let's count him down. This is number 10. This is Silver Bow, Montana. And if you saw my other video on how much support Kennedy got in each state, you'll remember that Montana was right at the top at number 1. Still under 2%, but it was close. So because there's 10 of these to get through, we can't spend all day on this. Let's just hit the highlights. The population here is 35,000. Let's go down here real quick, take a look at the demographics. Also feel free to take a look at any of the income or education data. But with that said, most people seem to just want to focus on the racial side. It's 88.5% white. The population in recent decades has held steady, and then we can go down here and take a look at the last election. Now, even though it's a red state, this is a blue county. Harris won it with 51.5, Trump at 44.5. The last time it voted Republican was way back in 1956. But at the same time, Trump with his highest level of support for any Republican since. Now, this video is about the support for Kennedy, and on Wikipedia, it doesn't break it down in here. It just has the total third-party support. That's at about 4%. The Kennedy in this county pulled in 2.81. So a 7% win here for Harris. And I'm going to be interested to see what happens in this county next time. It leans blue, but it's definitely open to some third-party candidates. In 2016, it gave third parties more than 8.5% here. Let's go to number 9. This is in Oregon. We've got Wheeler County. And just like with all the other counties here on Wikipedia, you can see where the county is located within the state. It's highlighted in red here at the right. Now this county, very few people here. It's the least populous in the state. Only 1,451 people. Let's see what we've got for demographics. The last update here was 2010. It was 92.4% white. The population in recent decades has held steady. Now let's take a look at the election. Well, this is going to be a pretty solidly red county. It's red going all the way back until 1976. That was when it supported Jimmy Carter. Trump last time at 71.2. That's actually lower than his 2 previous runs. It's not by much, but it's worth pointing out. Harris also better than Biden and better than Hillary. She's at 24.2. But she did do way worse than Obama in 2012. The third parties here are at 4.6. Kennedy just above number 10. Here he's at 2.88%. Let's go to number 8. This is in South Dakota. We've got Ziebach County. The population here is 2,400. And let's go down here and take a look at the demographics. The last racial update here is 2010. And it says about 75% American Indian, 22% white, bit of a drop off in population between 2010 and 20. Now in the last election, it was red, but narrowly so. Trump won it with a plurality, 49.68, Harris at 46.86, and it looks like it's become a recent bellwether over the last 5 elections. This county is no stranger to supporting both sides. Kind of makes sense given those demographics we just saw. Now the third party vote here in 24 was 3.46. Kennedy pulled in 2.94. That's good enough for 8th place. Here's number 7. We're going to go back to Montana. This is Glacier County. It's in the northern part of the state, right along the Canadian border. The population here, 13,778. The demographics in 2010 were 65.6 Native American, 31% white. And right next to it, we've got the election results. This is another blue county. Back through 1988, Harris won it with 57.8, Trump at 38.2. That's the most for a Republican in 20 years. Third party vote at 4.06. Kennedy here still under 3% of the vote, just barely ahead of number 8. He got 2.95%. And real quick here, the population pretty steady over the recent decades. Let's head down to number 6, same state, but it's in the opposite end. This is Bighorn County, and this borders Wyoming. It's a pretty good sized county, and it has a similar population at 13,124. Into the demographics, in 2010, we're seeing a familiar pattern here. 64% American Indian, 31% white. And in the last election, Trump actually flipped and won this county. He's at a plurality, about 49%, Harris 47.25. That's the first Republican win here since Reagan back in 1980. So that is a pretty big deal for Trump, but the third party support here is 3.8. Kennedy got most of that. He's at 3.04. And the total population here, again, it's held steady over the recent decades. Now we're going to head into the top 5. We're going to stay in the same state. We're going to go back to the Canadian border. We've got Hill County. And again here, it's a similar population, 16,300. Let's see who lives in this county. In 2010, we've got 74% white, about 22% American Indian, and in the last election, Trump won it with 56.9%, Harris at 38.7%. It's 3 consecutive Trump wins. Before that, they supported Obama 2 times, then Bush 2 times, then it supported Clinton, so it's gone back and forth in recent decades. The third parties here were at 4.39. Kennedy's total here was 3.19, so he's moving up. And the total population here, not much to say, it's been pretty steady again over the last few decades. We're counting them down. Let's go to number 4. Again, same state. This is Roosevelt County, and this time it does not border Canada. It's a little bit south, but it does border North Dakota. We're looking at 10,794. And if you're into the racial makeup, in 2010, we've got 60% American Indian, 36% white, and the population here dipped just a little bit over the past decade. Now in the last election, it's again 3 consecutive wins here for Trump. He's at 52.5, Harris at 42.9. Before 2016, it was blue through 1988. So a drop here for Harris. The third party's got 4.57. Kennedy now getting serious. He's at 3.5% here. That's good enough for number 4. Let's do number 3. This is going to be the same state. This is nearby Sheridan County. It's the absolute most northeastern county. It does border Canada and North Dakota. The population here is smaller. It's at 3,500. And the racial breakdown in 2010, 95% white. So a little bit different than some of the other counties. Population here, small dip over the last decade. But its peak was way back in 1920, where it was almost 14,000. Now in the last election, Trump here at 69%, Harris over 26.5. That is the highest level of support for a Republican on here. But at the same time, Harris did do better than Hillary Clinton at 16. Third parties here were at 4.29. Not a lot of votes though, just 82 of them. And of those, RFK Jr. pulling in 3.56. Time for number 2. It's the same state. We've got Blaine County. It's another one that does border Canada. Now the population here is 7K. Now down into the demographics. It's 49% American Indian, 48% white. It's almost a perfectly even split. Not a huge change in population here over the past bunch of decades. Now if we look at the election results, Blaine County is notable for a different reason. This county actually has the longest active bellwether streak anywhere in the country. That's after Clallam County, Washington, broke its streak in 24. So I could probably do a whole 5-minute video just on this county. But you can see Trump won it here in 24. He's over 50.5. Harris at 44.5. And they did support Biden in 20 and Trump in 16 and Obama 2 times. Then Bush 2 times. Then Clinton 2 times. But they did support Dukakis in 88 when he did not win that election. It was Bush. So definitely an extremely politically notable county. But the third party vote here was at 4.8. Kennedy this time it just managed to crack 4% of the vote here. So pretty good stuff for Kennedy. But there's one county where he did even better, and it's actually not even in Montana. Number 1 is in a totally different state. This is Vermont, and this is Essex County. This one is also in the most northeastern part of the state. It borders New Hampshire, and it also does border Canada. The population here is 5920. And finally, let's take a look at these demographics. Now, the juicy thing everybody likes to talk about is the racial breakdown, but for whatever reason, it's actually not here on Wikipedia. But one thing we haven't mentioned in the other counties, which is worth taking a look at, is going to be the median household income. Here, it's $37,734, and for a family, it's over $46,200. And the population overall in the past couple decades has dipped a little bit. The last thing to do is take a look at the recent election results. Now, this is a pretty blue state, but like most states, there's a couple of places that do their own thing. Here, Trump has a winning streak of 3 consecutive elections. They did support Obama 2 times before that, then Bush twice, then Clinton twice. So almost a good bellwether county here, except for 2020 when they did not support Biden. But Trump was at 55.2, Harris at 39.2. The third party vote here is 5.58 overall. And you can see back in 16, it was over 13.5. And back in the Ross Perot days in the 90s, he had over 20% in both of his runs. So this county, not a stranger to voting third party. But if you want to know what Kennedy did here, he pulled in 4.15%. So pretty pathetic overall, but relative to Kennedy, that's the absolute top of the mountain. Now the grand finale here is taking a look at the map. Here are all 10 counties highlighted. Now they're not exactly spread out. We've got 7 of them here in Montana alone. Then there's one in Oregon, one in South Dakota, and then one in Vermont here. And 5 of these also do border Canada, so that's another fascinating commonality. As for the demographics, a good chunk of these have a large Native American population, but there's also a lot of variation in the political history of these counties. Some of them were fairly blue until Trump came along, some were red for a long time, and others have easily gone back and forth supporting both parties multiple times over the last couple of decades. So it's hard to really pin these counties down. They kind of do their own thing. And for the purpose of this video, which is to gauge the level of support for a third-party candidate, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., it kind of makes sense that these counties might be open to a candidate like RFK Jr. He comes from that Kennedy dynasty, and he was known as a Democrat until he tried to challenge Biden, and it didn't work out. Then he ran as an independent, then he went toward the Trump side. So he's been kind of all over the place in a sense politically. So it looks like that kind of politics has a little bit more appeal in these counties than some of these other candidates. Now, to put it in perspective though, Kennedy did technically drop out. He wasn't even on the ballot in a bunch of these states, and he still did not even get 2% in any of these states, including Montana. So low numbers overall for Kennedy. But with that said, if you wanted to know where he happened to do his absolute best, you're looking at the 10 counties right here. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about any of these 10 counties that gave Kennedy his best support? Do you happen to live in or near any of these counties? What do you think is common with any of the demographics? And does anything stand out with any of the political history? Let me know what you think down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to help support the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.